Hey class, this is the lab for the HTML book chapter, which is project 2. You're going to learn how to add text from external sources. You're going to work in design and code views to add HTML tags. You're going to organize content with appropriate headings. You're going to properly format block quotes and citations. You're going to add special characters that work in HTML code. You're going to create lists and tables, and you're going to attach a CSS file. So if you look at the project meeting notes, it says, we publish a series of books that are designed as companion titles to our application-specific training books, which is why it's called the companion series. The companion titles cover general topics that are important to graphic designers, basic design principles, color, writing, and web design concepts, but don't quite fit into a application-specific book. So it says, we want to be sure that first this web page needs to be instantly recognizable as part of our existing site with the same layout and formatting. And the page must include searchable text. So the publisher sent us the text, and it's a very long file of text. It's important to format it with the proper structural tags. If you're using heading 2 because you think heading 1 is too big, you're causing problems for search engines and anyone with a screen reader software. The client already has a corporate website. To create the new page, you can use the existing CSS file that defines the appearance of various structural elements. Once you apply the correct structural tags to the text, you can attach the CSS file. This will ensure that the existing format maps to the structural tags in your new page. Okay, so we're going to start on page 67. And I'm going to work through this in the video. If you want to work through it on your own, you're welcome to. Just make sure that you're reading through all of the necessary steps, okay? So we're going to go ahead and open Dreamweaver. And you should already have the folder unzipped. So we're going to go up to Site and New Site. And this one is going to be called ATC. And then you want to go into the Browse folder to choose our root folder. And we are going to choose the root folder called Chapter. And it should be the unzipped folder. So go ahead and choose that and click Save. And then you'll see the files that we need are over here, okay? All right, so you can see over here that we have an images folder. We have a style sheet, which is a CSS document, and we have a text file. The text file is what contains all of the content that we're going to need. So let's open that up and look at it real quick. It's literally just a bunch of text, okay? So it's not formatted, it's not styled pretty, it's just text. So to contain that text, we are going to need an HTML file. So we're going to create a new file, File New, HTML document, and you can go ahead and give it a title here if you want, or you can type something in the title tag after you create it. But we're going to type against the clock and then a vertical pipe, special characters in typography. It's going to be HTML5. We don't want to attach a doc and a CSS right now. We're just going to click create. When you create a new blank file, it's not saved. So it says untitled up here. So we're going to go ahead and save it in our root folder. So we're going to go File, Save As. And our root folder is called Chapter. And we're going to call it typography.html. And yes, you do have to put the .html after it. Okay. So now that's showing up over here. We have typography HTML, typography text. So we're in split view right here, so we can actually see the design is blank right now. And then we can also see our code. So our title we have already added, against the clock, special characters and typography. We have the head section of our document. We have the body, and then we have the HTML tags wrapping around both of those. So now we're going to get ready to paste all of our text from that text file. So I want you to open typography.txt, and we're going to select all of that text. Okay, so you can do Control A on a Windows computer, Command A on a Mac, and that will select all. And then we're going to copy all of that text, so Command C or Control C. And then we're going to go back over to our HTML page. And we're going to go in the design view. Make sure this says design up here, not live. And click in the design view. It's going to be easier to do this in design view because it will automatically add line breaks where there's line breaks. Okay, so your cursor should be up there, and then you can do Control Paste or Command Paste, which is V, Control V. Okay, so you can see how it kept the returns. So wherever they had pressed return, it's still there. And in our code view, each of those returns is defined with this BR tag, which stands for break, so line break. Okay, so everywhere somebody pressed return on the text file, there's a line break. Okay, in the design view, you want to select all of the text, so Command A, Control A. And then we're going to go down to the Properties panel, and where it says Format, we are going to choose Paragraph. Now, it doesn't do every single paragraph on its own. What it did is it wrapped the entire body of text in a P tag, a single P tag. So to get it to make every single line break into a paragraph, instead, we are going to use a feature called Find and Replace in Files. This feature can help you find tags, or really anything, like any section of text like we did with Untitled Document in the last lab. We can do that with the BR tag here and replace that with P tags. Okay. So we want all of these to be defined as paragraphs, not just line breaks. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to Find and Replace in Files. And we're going to choose Current Document because we only want this document. And we're going to find, go ahead and delete Untitled Document there. In the Find field, you're going to type BR with the open and close arrow. And then in the Replace field, you're going to type the paragraph tag, but you're going to type it backwards. And I'll tell you why in a second. So type /P first, and then the regular P tag. Just like that. Okay, make sure you get the /P first. Now when we go through and replace all of the line breaks with that, this is our opening paragraph tag for this one. So when it replaces the BR, it'll have the /P to close the paragraph and then the P to open the next paragraph. Does that make sense? Okay, so once you type that, make sure it's typed exactly like that because you can't really undo it. And you're going to click Replace All. So it just went through and it found that many line breaks and it replaced them with the P tags. Okay. So now your paragraphs should actually look like they're spread out a little bit. Okay, they have some spacing in between them, and that's what we want. Okay, and then to help us clean up our code view a little bit, we're going to format the code. So if you click in the code view, go over to this toolbar that's on the left, and you should be able to see this one that's got like a paint bucket. It says Format Source Code. Go ahead and apply source formatting, and it's going to just kind of clean up our paragraphs for us so that the opening P tags are all on the left and the closed P tags are all on the right. It just makes it easier to look at our code. So go ahead and save that. The next thing we're going to do is create headings in the different sections. So you can close out of typography.txt. We're done with that. So the very top heading is called Special Characters in Typography. And that is what you want to make a level 1 header. Search engines are going to look for level 1 headers on pages before they look for level 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. This is a preset size, but you can change the style of it in CSS if you want to later. Okay, and we'll learn how to do that at some point. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through all of this text and decide which ones are level 1 headers, which ones are level 2, which ones are level 3, so on and so forth. You should only ever have one H1 header on a page, okay? So you should be in split view still with the design view on. What you want to do is place the cursor in the first paragraph of the design view. Okay, so click up in the design view where it says Special Characters in Typography. As long as your cursor is in that paragraph, then you can go down to the properties panel, and we're going to change this from a paragraph to a heading 1. So what that's going to do is instead of P tags, it's going to wrap it with H1 tags, so the level 1 header. And you'll notice that it's bold and it's large as well. Okay, and then as you go down the document, you're going to click in quotes and related characters. That's another paragraph. We're going to change that to an H2 header, so heading 2. Notice it's a little bit smaller, okay, but it's still important. Also, we're going to change the quotation marks header to H2. We're going to, H3, I lied. Quotation marks, we're going to change to H3. Apostrophes, we're going to change to H3 because all of that is underneath quotations and related characters. Inch and foot marks, we're going to change to H3 as well. There's a chart on page 76 that shows you what all of them need to be, okay? So hyphens and dashes is a H2 header. And then underneath that you have some more H3 headers. Special characters is a H2 header. And then underneath that you have some H3 headers. And then resources is an H2 header. And that'll be your last H2. Okay? So we're creating some sort of hierarchy here with the different headers. The next thing we're going to do is create a block quote. So the Q element defines a short quotation. The cite element can be used to define the name of a work. And the block quote button puts block quote tags and actually indents a large quotation. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. Select the first and second paragraphs immediately below the H1 header. So these two paragraphs here. And then you're going to go down to the properties panel, and to create a block quote, you're going to indent it to the right, and it's this little button here that when you hover over it says block quote. Okay, so click on that. And you'll notice in the code view that it wrapped those two paragraphs with the block quote tag. So what it does is it indents those two paragraphs. Then you want to select the words Ogilvy on advertising because that's the name of a book. And you're going to right click on the selection, go down to wrap tag, and you're going to wrap it with the CITE tag, cite. Press enter twice. Okay, so now in the code, it wrapped that text with the cite and the close cite tag. And Dreamweaver kind of helps you out. They try and give you hints on what you're typing and stuff. Okay, so we did that. We are on step 8, page 77. We're going to select the words God is in the details. It says include the period but not the quotation marks. So I'm actually going to redo that. So don't highlight the quotation marks. Right click on that text and choose wrap tag again. And this time you're going to just type Q for quotation marks and press enter twice. Okay, and when you wrap something with the Q tag, it's actually going to put the quotes for you. You can't see it though because we're in design view, so you need to switch to live view, and you're going to see that there's double quotation marks. So the Q tag actually adds the quotation marks for you, so you don't need the original quotation marks, which are in orange in the code view. So you can delete those. That's your original quotation marks. And you can just use the Q tag for your quotation marks. Okay, let's switch back to design view. Let's see. I think we already have the settings for that, so let's go down to the copyright paragraph where he talks about the copyright symbol. Go ahead and select the acronym ANSI. That stands for something, so we're going to use a tag called ABBR for abbreviation. And if somebody doesn't know what that abbreviation is, then they can hover over it and it will spell it out for them. So we're going to go actually to the code view here. Okay. So if you click on it in design view, then you'll see the cursor down in code view as well. And right in front of the text that says ANSI, I want you to type an opening tag ABBR. Then before you close that with the close arrow, you need a space and type TI, and it'll come up with title, so you can press enter, and it gives you some quotation marks to put your title in. So the title for ANSI is American National Standards Institute. And then you want to arrow over past the quotation marks and close that tag. Now, notice it automatically put the closing ABBR tag right after that. You want that to be after the acronym. So you can highlight that and then just click it and drag it over after the I. Okay? So the ANSI should be wrapped in between the opening and closing ABBR tags. So let's see what that looks like in live view here. If we go down and hover over it, see how it brings up the full name in the little gray box, American National Standards Institute. Okay, so that's what we want. We're also going to do that in the registered trademark paragraph where it has it again. So I want you to highlight all of that code that we just typed and copy it. And then go down to the next paragraph and highlight ANSI and just paste it over that. And then save. Okay, so now when you're in live view, you should be able to hover over either one of those, ANSI, and it's going to give you the abbreviation. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is on page 83, we're going to go to the paragraph. So let's go back to design view. We're going to go to the paragraph that says in-en. So an in dash is used to replace the word to or through. It's a bit bigger of a dash. It says scroll to the paragraph following the in dash heading and select not in the fourth sentence. So spaces should not be used around an in dash. And we want that to be bold, that word not. Okay, so if you highlight the word in design view, then you can go down to your properties panel and just click the little B and it will make it bold. So it wraps that word with the strong tag. So the strong tag makes something bold. And then it says in the paragraph after em, we're going to highlight the text that says more authority at the end of that paragraph. And we're going to make that italic. So go down to your properties panel and click on the I. And that's going to wrap it with an EM tag. So the EM tag is italics. Don't ask me why, I do not know. Okay, so now we're on stage 3. We're going to be working with special characters in this stage. A special character in HTML has to be defined differently with the and sign in front of it and then a semicolon. So like right here on line 17, you have end quote, that's a quotation mark, okay, and that's a special character. I don't really see any other special characters in here right now, but we're going to add some more, okay? So you want to go down to the EN dash paragraph, December 15th to January 2nd. And we're going to select the hyphen in between those, just the hyphen. Then I want you to go over to your insert panel and go all the way to the bottom where it says character and click on that little drop down arrow. There are a bunch of different special characters you can use. We're going to use the one called EN dash, just like this paragraph is talking about. So when we click on that, it's going to insert it in between December 15th and January 2nd. And it inserts it as the and sign, then a pound sign, and then a number, and then a semicolon. And that is the definition in HTML code of that particular dash. Okay. So that's an in dash. I want you to select the hyphen in between 25 minus 3. Select it there as well and click on that same special character en dash. Okay, go ahead and save that. And then we're going to do the same thing with the em dash. So where there's 2 dashes, you want to select those 2 dashes and go over to your special character menu and choose em dash, which is a bit wider of a dash. So there's 2 of those in this paragraph that we need to replace. Another special character that we can use is the copyright symbol. So if you select just the C in between the parentheses, the capital C, then go over to the character panel, drop down menu, and you can go down to copyright. So that will insert the copyright symbol. And it actually has a code and copy semicolon. So that's the code for the copyright symbol. The registered trademark symbol is also on here. So if you select the capital R under registered trademark and then go over to your character panel, you should see the R that's encircled as a registered trademark. So the code for that is andreg, R-E-G, semicolon. I think that's all. Oh, there's one more, trademark. The TM that's smaller usually, you want to highlight that TM and go over to your character panel and choose that small TM. And you'll see that it makes it smaller like you want. The character panel has a bunch of other ones. If you go there, you can use any of these on your HTML pages as well. Okay, so go ahead and save that. Now we're going to create a table of quote characters. So a table in HTML is defined with the TR and the TD tags. So if you start on page 87, we're going to go and place our insertion point right after quotes and related characters, after the paragraph. Okay, so we're going to click after well, and we're going to go over to HTML and choose table. So this is going to make a table for us, and you decide how many rows and columns you want it to be. So we want 2 rows and 2 columns. We don't need any width setting. We don't need a border thickness or cell padding or cell spacing. Okay. We also want to choose the top header. So we want the top row to be bold, basically. You can choose if you want left or both or just top. And then in the caption, that's in the title of it, we're going to call it quotation characters. And click OK. So this is the code for our table. So we have a table tag that wraps around all of it. Then we have a caption, which is the title of it. Then we have the body of the table. And then we have 2 rows. So TR stands for table row. So you have one TR tag here and one TR tag here. That's creating your 2 rows. And then inside the rows, you have either TH, which is for header, or you have TD, which is for the columns. Okay. So we want to click in the left, or in the design view, click in the left top cell of our table. And as we type, it's going to expand it. So we're going to type character description. Okay, and then you can press tab just like you would in Excel and it'll move over. And we're going to type character. So this is our table header. And then on the next row down, we're going to type double curly quotes and tab over. This is where you're going to insert your special characters for curly quotes. Okay, so we're going to get that from the character menu like we did earlier. So you're going to click on the drop down menu under character and you're going to choose left quote, which is double curly quotes, and it should insert them. Then you're going to do a space and you're going to do the right quote. So it's going to put in the code down here, it's going to put their numbers. Now, let's say we want to add another row onto this table. So if we're in this last box here, we can press tab and it's going to create another row for us automatically, as long as we're in design view. Okay, so the next one is single curly quotes and then tab over. These ones aren't on the drop down menu. You're going to have to go to other characters. And they're way down at the bottom. So the last one on the second to last row. And click OK. And then do that again. Oh, sorry, do a space in between. And then do that again and go to the first one on the bottom row. And click OK. And it will insert the single curly quotes. Okay, press tab again, and the next one we're going to do is called double prime. And then in quotation, or in parentheses, inches or seconds. And then press tab. So this one isn't on the special character menu. It's actually something we're going to have to type in the code. So once you're in this box, go down to your code view and see how it says and in BSP, that's just a space, okay? That's holding it. So highlight that and you want to replace that with and and then use a capital P-R-I-M-E, and it should come up now. And you can just press enter. So, and prime. Okay, and then you can click in design view, and it will show you that it's a double quotation mark, but it's not curly. Okay. So that could be used to represent inches or seconds. So then click in design view, click after that prime sign and press tab again. And this time you're going to type single prime and then in parentheses feet or minutes. So these can be used in like math or geography type pages to represent those. So go down to code view and highlight the NBSP, and this time you're going to type and lowercase prime, and it should come up with the single prime tick. Okay, go ahead and save that. Okay, a couple more things. You're going to go to the multiplication sign heading, and you're going to highlight that X right there. Actually, see if you can find it in code view. So that little X, you want to delete it in code view. And then just start typing the and sign, and TIMES times should come up with it for you. And it's going to replace it with what looks more like a multiplication sign. Okay. Do the same thing on the next one where it says 6 by 9 inch baking pan. Delete the X, and then in the code type times. And then go ahead and save that. Okay, the next part we're going to do is our resources with a numbering system that's going to create a list. So what you want to do is go down to the bottom of the design view where it says resources and click in the paragraph where it says the trouble with M and N. And then you want to go down to the properties panel. This is where you can choose ordered, unordered list or ordered list. And this one we want an ordered list. So click on that. It's going to create another number 1, so you don't actually need the original one. So go down to the code view and just delete the 1 there. And then it'll actually just use the li tag to create that list item. Then if you're in design view and you press enter after it, it will go ahead and automatically number it for you. So for the second one, you want HTML entities and other resources at w3schools.com. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is create a few links. And we are at the top of page 94. So it says in the first list item, select the URL in square brackets and cut it to the clipboard. So cut is Command or Control X. So that cuts it out and saves it for where we need it. So go ahead and delete the square brackets and the space before it, and select a list apart magazine, the words. So we're going to actually link that to that website. So you're going to go down to the properties panel and click inside the link field, and then go ahead and paste that link. And it's an external link, so it's going to link to a website. That's why you need the http www.alistapart.com. Okay, so notice now that in the design view that is underlined and it's blue. That means that it's a link. On the next line, you want to highlight w3schools.com and go down to the link field in the properties panel, and you're going to type http://www.w3schools.com, and you can press tab. So it added A tags to both of those with the href, and then it's linking to an external site. Okay, so our next step on here is to create some navigation links. And you want to go to the end of your resources list and press enter twice, and that will get you out of the ordered list to a regular paragraph. And then you're going to click on the unordered list button down at the bottom in the properties panel, and that's going to give you a bullet point. And we're going to add 4 list items. So we're basically creating a navigation menu here, and we'll style it later. Okay, so we're going to call the first one ATC Home, and then press enter. If you do this in design view, you don't have to type all of the tags. You can see that it's typing those tags for us. Projects and portfolios. Okay, don't press enter after the last one. Now go up to the top one and highlight it. And you can actually put in a fake link until you are ready to fill in the link pages. So if you highlight the words and then you go down to the link field in the properties panel, just use a hashtag symbol, and that creates a fake link for you. So it's still going to appear like a link. It's going to look blue and be underlined. It's going to have the A tags and the href, but in the href it's just a hashtag, and so that means it's a fake link. Okay, so go ahead and do that for all 4 of those. We're just going to create fake links so that they have the appearance that we want, but we don't actually have those HTML pages created yet. Alright, so the last thing we're going to do is attach an external CSS file. So CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet, and that's where all of the styling for our page is going to come from. right now it's formatted like we want with headers and links and so on. But this document that we're going to attach is going to tell it what colors and what fonts, what sizes of font, and backgrounds, background images, and what we want everything to look like. So what you want to do is go up to the top, select the level 1 heading and the block quote. We have to give it some sections. And I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do it in the code view. Well, no, this is okay because we'll choose wraparound. Okay, so go over so highlight that, go over to your insert panel, and you're going to choose header. So all we're doing is we're creating a section called header, and we want it to wrap around the selection. So wrap around what we have selected. This is going to be our header. We don't need a class or an ID. We're just going to wrap it with the words header and /header, okay? So if you look in the code, this is what it did. It added header on line 9, and then it closed the header on line 15. And you'll see that it has this blue outline around it, designating that that's the header section. Okay, now you want to go to design view only and highlight from quotes and related characters all the way down to the last list item under resources. So don't highlight the navigation and don't highlight the footer. Okay, so everything except that. And then you're gonna wrap that selection with a section button. So go over to the insert panel and click section. Choose wraparound selection and don't put a class or an ID, just click OK. So you'll see the box outline around that now is a section. Okay, next we want to select our unordered list, which is our navigation. So you can click anywhere in that, and then you can click the UL tag in the tag selector. It'll select that whole unordered list for you. And then you're going to click on navigation in the insert panel, wrap around selection, click OK. And then the last thing you're going to do is select the entire footer, which is inside of a paragraph tag. And you're going to go to the insert panel and click footer and wrap around the footer. Okay, so we're basically dividing our page into 4 blocks. We have the footer, we have the nav, we have the section, and we have the header. So dividing it into those blocks is going to help us now that we're going to attach our CSS style sheet. So go ahead and save that. I want you to look at the code view real quick. So if you look at line 9, it'll say header, and that'll close on line 15. And then on line 16 you have section, which opens, and everything in that section until line 72. Then you have nav from line 73 to 80, and then you have footer from 81 to 83. Okay, so now we're ready to go to live view, and we're going to attach our style sheet, which is going to make it look pretty. So go ahead and go to the CSS Designer panel. It might be down here, it might be up here next to Files. The CSS Designer panel is what's going to help you with styling things. So we're going to actually add a new CSS source. Make sure that all is selected at the top of that panel. So click the plus button by sources, and normally you would have to create a new one. This one's already been made for us. So we're going to go to attach existing CSS file. And we're going to browse in the chapter folder. And it's simply called styles.css. And click open. Okay, then you can click OK, and it will attach it. So notice now it's got a maroon background. We've got our navigation up at the top. That's the list, the unordered list that we made. The CSS is telling it to do all of this, okay? And then we have a background image with a title, and our block quote is over on the right side. So styles.css is what's doing all of this, okay? So there's one more thing that we're gonna need to do to make the main part of the page look better. If you click in the quotes and related characters header, and then go down to your tag selector and select the whole section that wraps around that. The section needs to have an ID associated with it to get the CSS to work. So what you're going to do is you're going to go down to section ID in the properties panel and click on that drop down menu and choose excerpt. This is already pre-made for us. So once we add that ID to it, then it works. It styles that entire section. So notice that your H2 headers are black and underlined. Your H3 headers are maroon and italicized. That's all done in the style sheet, as well as the look of the table. It's in the style sheet as well. And yeah, the footer, the text styling for that is in there as well. So go ahead and save that. This page is done. And then when you get to your portfolio builder for this chapter on page 105, you're doing the same exact thing that you've done with this. So you're taking regular text, marking it up with headers and design things, and then you're going to attach the same CSS document to that HTML file. So it should look very similar to this one. With the navigation, it should have a title, which you probably want to call Color Theory or Color Companion. And I don't think it has a block quote, so you can just delete the block quote section, okay? But go ahead and take a look at that portfolio builder. Let me know if you have any questions. And that's it for project 2.